All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Letterbox Book Club. My name is Mackenzie,
And my name is Claire.
and we're also joined by Miss Penn.
Penelope, she's going to learn a thing or two today.
So if you hear some baby babbling, that is her.
Yep, some squealing, some carrying on. It's all good.
Today we are going to be discussing Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas.
Yes.
Which is very exciting because I have been down the Penelope Douglas path, but Claire has not. And I feel like I forced her into this, but...
No, I've been seeing it all around on TikTok as well. Not just you, it's definitely the curated BookTok influence.
Yes, well, it did only come out this year, so it was
right.
released this year.
Cool, because I know you've read Credence and you've told me what happens in that.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also read Punk 57 and you've read Pirate
Girls
so you're really...
and Birthday Girl.
Wow. So, but this is the first Penelope Douglas book that I've willingly
I feel like,
read.
this is
or like I wanted to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it came out July 30th, so...
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, that's why it's making the TikTok rounds.
Oh, okay. Because I just hear from the memes on social media and just word of mouth and just from you that Penelope Douglas likes to write some gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
And that, in a way, scares me. But after hearing what happens in Created, I just think, what could be worse than Step Cousin? But ultimately, yeah, this... I suppose when I dive into thoughts, feelings, and emotions, this book truly surprised me. But
okay, cool. I will start us off with the blurb. Also, there's some whack names in here, so I'm just going to pronounce them how I pronounce them, and if that's not how you pronounce them, then that's okay. Art is subjective.
Okay.
I guess. All right, one woman learns the secrets of the five Jaeger brothers. On the other side of town, in the dark glades under the rain. Mason is the oldest. 31, ex-Marine. I don't think I've ever seen him smile. Army is 28, a single dad with the most beautiful green eyes. He has no idea who he is, if not a Jaeger brother. Iron will be in prison soon. You'd never think it to meet him. He's a nice guy, actually, but he can't stop reacting to everything. Dallas is the one I hate. 21, cruel and selfish. He takes and then throws away whatever's left. And Trace is mine, or he was for about 2 seconds. No one can tame him for long. Not that I ever wanted to, it was fun, but now I need to go home, back to my side of the tracks, away from the swamps and these men. To my parents' big house on my clean street, where I'm never dirty or messy or hot, and I will. I'll leave first thing tomorrow morning. I just want to crash on the couch tonight. The house is dark and quiet, everyone else is asleep, except for one. He sees me crying and comes at me from behind. I let him wrap his arms around my body and hold me tightly. His breath is on my neck, his fingers are in my hair, and he doesn't stop there. I don't think it was Trace.
Love it. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions, Kenzie.
Okay, first of all, he didn't just see you crying.
There's more to it.
Yeah. Okay, my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I enjoyed this book.
Yeah, okay.
I hated this book. I loved this book. I enjoyed aspects of it. I hated aspects of it. It was a very, I would call this book a very morally grey book.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was neither black nor was it white. It felt like porn with a plot, which a lot of these books do feel, I guess, because it just felt like a way, like the plot just felt like a way to get Christian to
like settle with one of them.
Yeah, to settle with one of them and to like get through each of them, like
yeah,
try out each of them before she settled on one. Also,
try before you buy.
Yeah, her name is spelled Krisjen.
Yeah, first question, why is it spelled like that?
Yes, so I would just say Kristen in my head or whatever,
like
but
Christian,
then or then just Christian. Yeah.
Like I suppose even Australians like naturally say Christian.
Yeah, but it's spelled like Christistin. Yeah.
All right, my thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Yes,
you
please.
don't read this to be philosophically blown away. You know? I had a fun time reading it because I just didn't know what to expect. It was just no thoughts, head empty as I was reading. Yeah, just like embraced the book. The first chapter is cooked. Twists and turns. I almost had to DNF because
I nearly DNF'd. Yeah.
I'm like, is this where we're going straight after that? Like, I've read books where the first chapter is an orgy, and like that's fine, but like what was going on there was gnarly. I enjoyed it, but I was bamboozled by all the other povs.
Yeah.
As soon as the first pov changed, I'm like, oh, she's going to end up with him because why else would he have a pov?
Yeah.
But that sort of creativity and structure, I really appreciate it because you also get a glimpse into that particular brother and just see what he's feeling and give off his own little personal backstory, which I thought was really cool. I feel like I guessed the secret brother hook up pretty.
I feel
easily.
like I guessed it straight away.
Yeah.
But then, like, every time she was like, "Oh, it was this person," I was like, "Oh, it could have been that person."
Yeah,
like,
yeah. There was a good layer of doubt as well.
Yeah.
And misdirection.
Yeah.
Because obviously Mason's too depressed to fuck around.
Yeah.
You know? But and why is Mason spelled like that as well?
Yeah.
Macon. But yeah, I just enjoyed it, and like the plot, like towards the end, it got a little goofy.
Yeah.
I felt, but just people wanting to survive, and the whole Sainsbury swamps, just like the classist divide and everything, and you know the rough around the edges. Like everyone likes, you know, like the bad
Mm.
or the criminal-esque sort of family and
Yeah.
everything, and like the good girl turned into
Yeah.
a
Or
criminal.
like the bad criminal family who are only bad and criminal to like help everyone else.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, like
exactly
they're
it.
selfless.
Yeah, like they're rough around the edges, but they protect the Bayside people and everything,
Yeah.
and they look after each other or their own. Yeah, I enjoy. I was just surprised by that as well.
Yeah.
Just that level and just the deep nature of each character, and everyone has like real issues, like Iron going to prison, and then Mason's depression and all that stuff. And my only qualm is that she actually didn't go through all of the brothers, because I feel like Dallas there was no interaction.
Yeah.
But there could be reasons for that.
Yeah.
But he wanted to anyway.
Yeah. Also,
They got
yeah, I
close.
feel like I guessed some plot lines
Okay.
as well. But we'll talk about it
Yeah.
when we get into it.
Pretty dark world and dark society. Considering,
Yeah.
But I suppose it's the
It's just like
nectar
getting
of
closer and closer. It's like zooming in, like as they're getting
Okay, yeah.
closer.
yeah. I suppose this is Penelope Douglas's bread and butter, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It makes me want to read Trist 6 Venom, I think,
Yeah.
even though this was in the world and with
Yeah.
the characters. There's a lot of, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, there's a few, yeah, like when I read Pirate Girls, it said like it's in this world. Like you can read the other ones as well if you want, but yeah.
Yeah, same with this book. There was a disclaimer like, you don't have to read Trist 6 Venom, but
Yeah, but the brothers feature heavily in it or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. But yes, you don't read Penelope Douglas to have your mind blown. It's not a
No.
literary masterpiece,
No.
but it was entertaining.
Yes.
Very wacky situation,
Yes.
a bit fucked up, but you learn to appreciate it.
Yes. Should we talk about the first chapter?
Let's talk about the first chapter.
The first chapter opens with Christian wearing a short little outfit.
I would suggest a skimpy outfit. but-
Yeah. Well, it was specifically like a schoolgirl outfit.
Mhm.
Yeah, like a school uniform. Anyway, she gets picked up by a truck driver, and he tries to sexually assault her, and then she like pulls out a knife, and it's like, oh, ha ha ha. And but then you find out that it's just Trace, and they're role playing, but he doesn't have any condoms but there was 2 last time she was in the truck, so she knows that he's fucking around with someone else. He's like, oh my god, babe, sorry. But like they're not exclusive anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, that really sets the tone. Like, even though you really skimmed over it, it was such a long chapter as
Yeah.
well, in my opinion. So there was a lot of emphasis of like, well, Christian is about to be raped by somebody.
ugh.
And then, yeah, it turns out it's just some stupid, kinky role play.
Mhm.
First plot twist,
Mm.
which was gnarly. But I can understand if that deters people away who have
Yeah.
never read Penelope Douglas. They're like, wow, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
But no, I was just like, I was shocked and bamboozled and just like, what the hell? What a strong opening first chapter, despite being fucked up.
I truly nearly DNF right then and there.
For sure.
But then I was like, well, how do the brothers come into this?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe the brothers rescue her or something.
Like she's been kidnapped and taken away.
Yeah.
Because I think her and Clay are friends or have been friends for a long time. So like then you have that sort of connection, and that could have been the way that it was.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, interesting. So yeah, we meet Trace, the first Jaeger brother, out of the many that we meet along the way, and they've been hooking up for a while, hooking up all summer. Any other like qualms that you had?
Well, it's also giving like pretty girl mucking around with like the bad boy on the wrong side of the tracks. Like she's just doing it for fun, just to rebel against her parents, sort of thing. Like
She's having a quarter life crisis of her own.
Mm.
I mean, her parents are getting divorced. She's being put into a precarious situation by her mother. Why not actively rebel and do things you're not supposed to do? And fuck boys you're not supposed to.
Yeah, so then they go back to Trace's house.
Or the Jaeger house, I guess.
The Jaeger
ultimately.
house, yeah. And there's a party going on.
Mhm.
And Trace just had like another girl organized
Yeah.
to spend the night with him if like this fell through with Christian.
Yeah, just the fact that these guys just fuck around a lot, literally, is just
Yeah.
it's really off-putting.
Yeah.
Like, where are the STD tests?
Yeah.
Where are the appointments? There was only one conversation about someone being clean, and that's towards the end of the book.
And I know that Army has a kid, but like, where are all the accidental pregnancies? Like,
Surely, yeah.
then Christian goes to leave, and she finds out her tires have been slashed.
Mhm.
So she has to stay. So she's pissed because
Fair enough.
Trace has someone else upstairs.
Like, she's stranded.
Yeah, so she's like, well, I'll just sleep on the couch. I did like how she's like, oh, and I'll find one of the random phone chargers that they have because there's 5 of them, of course. Well, this is technically 6, but yeah, of course they're gonna have 1 million phone chargers lying around.
Christian is like upset, but then low-key horny because her moment with Trace earlier was dissipated, but she's still feeling a bit of an edge, so she starts just masturbating on the couch in the middle
Because
of the night. As you do.
At someone else's house, in the open, on
Why
the
not?
couch, why not?
Gonna christen the couch.
Yeah.
Christian the couch. And then lo and behold, she sees like someone in the shadows of the room, just like watching her. They haven't said a word, and then things take a really hot and heated turn.
Yeah.
And
So she knows it's one of the brothers.
Yeah.
Because they all wear these armbands,
bracelets,
which is giving Edward Cullen.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Edward Cullen, because they all have in the Twilight. They have like their family crest.
Oh, okay.
And like they all wear. So Edward's is an armband, Rosalie's is a necklace, Alice's is a choker. I think Emma had an armband. Anyway, I think so. It was giving Twilight to me. But he like fucks her from behind, so she never knows who it is. Blah blah blah. Because she starts like spouting why she's so like she's upset. Like all this drama is happening. And he's like, "I will fuck you better, my love."
Something like
Yeah,
that.
essentially.
And then he says something along the lines of,
Oh,
like,
don't tell Trace.
and even just like he said something little nefarious, being like something about a son, guessing your son who will play daddy too, or something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, from here on out, Christian, as she goes through the brothers, dare I say, she's looking for signs of the man.
This is my first qualm.
Mm-hmm.
That it's always like, oh, he doesn't speak above a whisper. Like, I still feel like I would have recognized someone's voice in a whisper. Like,
And I'm pretty sure he did say something.
he said lots of things.
I suppose in the moment,
Anyway,
it's not what you're focusing on. You're focusing on the fact that it's, you just had a magic hookup.
so then, she's going back. They offer to fix her car. She has to stay there for a little bit. And she's like, oh, I gotta go home. Blah, blah. Oh, we also meet Sally. Her real name is Araceli.
Araceli, yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I was like Araceli or whatever, but they nickname her Sally at one point, so it has to be Araceli. Seems like she's in love with one of them as well.
But also has hooked up with a couple of them.
Yeah, but has hooked up / dated a couple of them.
And so there's this sort of like rivalry in a way between Christian and Araceli.
Yeah, I did like that at one point. Christian's like, we're gonna be friends. She just doesn't know it yet. Like she doesn't. Yeah, she's not toxic. She's like, no, I want to be friends. Like,
but it's giving Oren in Guild where it's like, you hate my guts, but I'm gonna save you, and you're gonna and it's like, no, these bitches hate you.
Yeah.
But Araceli and Christian's friendship do blossom more towards the back end of the book because, of course. But yeah, it's fun seeing that sort of jealousy, and it's like, well, slashing her tires is just gonna have to make her stay. Maybe if Araceli didn't slash the tires, then none of this would have happened. So don't let jealousy get in the way. Moral of the story. And so Christian is just adamant of getting home eventually, and she's all like, I'm never coming back. But of course, it never
works out that way.
She's weaseled her way back in because Christian lives in St. Carmen. And they're considered saints. It's all the rich, elitist sort of folks.
Yeah.
Like the stupid rich kind of people. Obviously never cross the other side of the tracks unless it's to cause trouble.
Yeah. And she has an ex-boyfriend, Milo, who used to hit her. So that's fun.
Bunch of awful people on both sides.
Yeah.
And I feel like he has a bigger role in Trist's Six Venom as well, because there was altercations with Liv back in the day, and the brothers are holding on to that revenge as well.
Mm.
Eventually, Christian gets given, I guess, a job working at one of their restaurants that they own, and so she kind of never has to leave. And so one of the brothers as well, Iron, he's heading off to prison for...
Well, for assault, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Christian's grandfather is the judge that's sending him away.
So it's a pretty tight-knit community. Everyone, or those who live in St. Carmen, has some sort of position of authority and power, whether it be wealth or administrative or...
It feels very, oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Nepotism and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hell yeah.
But also, like, the Jaeger brothers have, like, the cops on their payroll and stuff. Like, it's all very corrupt.
At least on the Bay side as well, yeah. Yeah, it's a very fucked up world. Alright, we had a quick break because Poppy needed to go for a nap, so we're talking about Iron, meeting Iron for the first time.
Yes, Iron, who is, he is going to jail for assault, but I think, like, he was just, like, protecting someone.
Yeah, I reckon it must have been in regards to the Trist 6 Venom book.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he just didn't follow through with his discipline, I guess, in that regard, and that...
Yeah, I guess I reckon it was for, like, a good behaviour or whatever, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, for sure. And what I loved about the structure of this book, though, is that every chapter, when we get a chapter of one of the Jaeger brothers, their POV, you learn, obviously, a lot more about them and, like, their backstories and their situations and, like, just their issues. But then it just seems like it gets a bit old when Christian becomes their therapist for them, almost.
Yeah, especially because she's 18.
It's like, this 18-year-old girl does not need to save you all.
Yeah, and this is what it was like in Credence as well.
Really?
So.
Like, yeah, the woman is the saviour.
I knew, like, there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
And I knew that she was going to end up with one of them. And then she fucked Iron.
Yeah.
Which is fun, like, in that little going away present.
Going away present. Yeah, the last night of freedom.
Yeah.
Last hurrah.
But I truly thought, I was like, oh, what if, like, this is the one she ends up with? I was like, what if, like, somehow he doesn't end up going to prison? Or, like, we'll get her, like, 3 years later or whatever.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't think she would do that. Like, the first one I suppose technically Trace is the first one she's with, but, like, from a point of view...
Oh, the third one technically she'd been with.
There was an era of misdirection there, and Penelope tried so hard to do that, but, like, I figured out who it was pretty easily.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, yeah, Iron, ultimately, he is playing it tough that he's not scared to go to jail, but he is pissing himself.
Yeah.
He truly is like a child, and he just wants the support of especially Mason, the oldest brother, because he is the father figure, or more of a father figure now than a brother. And he just wants his support and his good word and everything, but Mason's giving him nothing because Mason's dealing with his own shit, which is fair enough.
Fair enough, yeah.
Also, you got to be there for your brothers.
Well, Mason, is dealing with, because their dad, is that their dad's dead?
Dad had a heart attack and then mum
mum killed herself.
Yeah.
So Mason had to look after the kids from when he was like 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
So he has the weight of the world on his shoulders.
And also now managing the Bay as a whole, essentially. Like, it's like that responsibility never left.
Yeah.
And he's trying so hard to keep it together.
Yeah. While he's suffering, and Christian is the only one noticing that he is suffering, which you think that, like, his brothers would notice, but
who are around 24/7 and who work for him. But no, this 18-year-old who just stumbled away on the other side of the tracks seems to take more notice.
Yeah.
So yeah, Iron is just really upset. He's really scared to go to jail, but he's playing it off like last night of freedom. And he really wants to have sex with Christian. He's like, I want it to be with you because it's special. Blah blah blah. They have a lot of heated moments.
Yeah.
Initially, Christian rejects him, but then they inevitably have a bone out on the lawn chair or something, and then someone else is watching them as well. Unfortunately,
Trace.
Yeah.
You find out that it was Trace.
It was Dallas.
Was Dallas?
I'm pretty sure it was Dallas.
Oh,
anyway, it doesn't matter. And so that becomes a thing. So Iron goes away now, off to prison, and then I think it's Army's turn to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And we learn a bit more about Army.
Also, can we talk about, so their names are Mason, Iron, Army, Dallas, and Trace.
Yeah.
Like,
Trace seems like the most normal, as well as Mason, but Mason's
spelled
with
with a C. Yeah,
make it normal. Yeah. Macoon.
If I ever have another kid, I'm gonna name it Army. Like, and okay, because it's not spelled like Army Hammer, like it's spelled like
No.
Army, like military.
Yeah,
Which is funny because Mason went to the military, so it's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, I just think Penelope Douglas is taking the piss.
Yeah.
Out of all the names, trying to make them as weird as possible.
Yeah.
And
just
then,
put in a
yeah,
random name generator.
and like Araceli
yeah,
and
Araceli.
Paisley is
Yeah.
spelled like Paisleigh.
That's how I seen Paisley spelled, but yeah. And also Mars.
Mars.
Paisley and Mars are Christian's little siblings, younger
Yeah,
siblings that she
yeah.
inevitably ends up looking after anyway as well.
Yeah.
So
But then her parents have normal names, like Cara, I think is her mother's
Yeah.
name, and then Lachlan.
yeah,
is her
and then
father's
there's
name.
Jerome Watson,
Yeah,
who her mum tries to marry her off to. So
yeah. Who's their butler or babysitter?
oh,
Fred
Bateman.
Bateman. Yeah, what
Yeah.
a name though.
Yeah.
Bateman's pretty cool. Yeah, it's just the Jaeger brother names are just bizarre, and then you just get Olivia or Liv,
Yeah.
and it's like, what happened?
Also, did it take you forever to figure out that Clay was a girl?
Yes.
Yes, but also at one point in my ebook, and it must just be like an e-publication problem, Clay was referred to as he.
Oh, really?
So I was like, wait a minute, what is happening?
Yeah, I thought that was the case, and I thought, there must have been a mix-up.
Mm.
But I never heard of Clay as a female name. But like, good on
Mm.
Penelope.
Yeah.
Gender neutral.
Yeah.
The more you know. Which is really cool. But yeah, Penelope Douglas taking the piss. So she's just throwing darts at a dartboard with names and
Mhm.
plot ideas.
Mhm.
But no, that was so funny. All right, so yes, Army's turn to step up to the plate, and he gets a little bit more obsessive and possessive over
Yes.
Christian. And this is where kind of the boys' behavior surrounding Christian gets a little bit too misogynistic for me, because it's
Mhm.
like they encourage or they say, "Oh, you're next," or
Mm.
she's going to be yours next, and all that type of stuff, which was a little bit stupid in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And this felt to me like, because I read Credence as well, it felt like Credence as well, because they were all like very possessive in Credence as well. It's like, oh, you're ours, like you can't go and fuck the townies or whatever because
Yeah.
like, you belong to us.
Yeah, and I think even Army starts that sentiment where it's like, no, you are ours to fuck. You will
Mm.
please us. And it's like, this is getting really creepy, really
Mhm.
quick. Not in
Mhm.
like, oh, this is only hot because it's in a book. It's like,
Yeah.
it's legitimate
It's like
creepy.
creepy, yeah.
Yeah, it's like sex slave level creepy.
Yeah.
And so Army also has some
If
issues.
that's your prerogative, then that's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So Army has some issues. He seems to not be over really his son's mother,
Mm.
who is a saint,
Yes.
an unknown saint, undisclosed saint, who has essentially abandoned them. Forget the intricate details. And so in Army's mind, he sees Christian as like this sort of replacement, almost replacement mother figure. Again, she's 18. I think
Yeah.
Army is the second oldest as well.
Mm.
So like, that's crazy behavior, putting all this onto an
Yes.
18-year-old. But lucky for Army, him and Christian fuck a couple more times
Mhm.
than the rest. If you want to talk about like evenness and balance,
Yeah.
if there's equality. And then for a time, it was believed by all the brothers that she was Army's.
She would end up with Army, yeah.
Yeah, but then also Christian is seemingly fighting with Araceli almost, because Araceli has feelings for
Army,
for
yeah.
Army, but Army doesn't really reciprocate that. He just
Yeah.
uses her.
And at one point, there's like a fight or whatever, and Mason like tells Army like he'll never be her, like she'll never be her.
Yeah. I think Army was getting too weird,
Mm.
and then it's just he was fine ever since.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. I think him, Army and Christian fuck in the cop car.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like so they get arrested because they're
Yeah.
fighting,
Yeah,
which is fine.
because all the while, like in between each brother, Christian is also having or developing a stronger relationship with like Mason
Yeah.
as like friends and like
Yeah.
friendly matter. Because in the beginning, Mason doesn't really like her for
Yeah.
reasons we find out later on. But yeah, like their relationship starts to blossom a bit, and he starts to open up to her a little bit. And this is in between,
Mm.
each brother. And then Mason's starting to be a bit more protective of Christian in that respect. And Army just like has a loose screw for a moment, has poor judgment, and they start fighting over her physically.
Yeah.
And then it just leads to some weird cop sex. in the
Yeah,
back
like
of the
they
car.
make the cops get out of the car.
like
Yeah.
that was funny though.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like, are we really doing this right now?
Yeah.
And it's just like Army hovering over her and everything, and like
Oh yeah, they're
going
practically
at-
fucking before, like while the cops were in
Yeah.
the car as well.
yeah, and the cops were like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" So
Yeah.
they just pull over and get out, and while they get to work, it's funny though
Yeah.
because it's so bizarre. Yeah, and then I guess that relationship fizzles out. Everyone's cool again,
Mhm.
and yeah, because Mason is just to himself. He doesn't really go out and about. He's holding everything together.
Also, let's talk about Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's gun.
Yes.
Okay.
So, do you know Chekhov's gun?
Yes.
Yes,
We've established this before.
I know. Okay. Yeah. So at one point, I don't know why Christian is looking through Mason's room or whatever, and she finds a gun in his side table, and she hides it. And I knew that it was going to come back at one point. I was like, it's...
Yeah.
Anyway, so then let's talk about.
All right, hang on. I wrote who's next on the list. I think
Well, Dallas was like, let's make a sex tape
Dallas. Yeah,
because then we can sell it.
extort it.
Yeah,
for
extort
money.
it.
Because all right,
Yeah, I didn't like Dallas at all. And
No,
I was like,
neither.
maybe, he has some redeem. I was like, oh, maybe that's like the big twist. She ends up with Dallas.
Oh,
And anyway, but he was just like weird. And it's just like that weird, your weird stoner brother that just lives in the
he's just
basement or whatever.
weirdly
Like, yeah.
angry all the time as
Just
well,
angry
but
all the
not to
time,
the
yeah.
level of Mason.
Yeah.
But yeah, while Christian is bouncing around the brothers, like there is actual some plot stuff happening. Christian is trying to find some evidence of her father's affair and stuff because they live in Florida, and Florida is like a no fault state, so you need evidence to be able to secure a divorce, and they're really rich as well. And so I guess her mother is trying to like secure some wealth in that regard. And then for the boys in the Bay, they are getting offers from property developers and rich, wealthy people from St. Carmen trying to buy the Bay, their land, and try and scare them off, drive them away. But obviously that's not working. So all that is interwoven with this bizarre brother-loving fest.
Also, yeah, Christian's mum tries to sell her to Jerome Watson, who's like
a wealthy guy,
a wealthy older man.
Yeah, and he's like, "We're gonna have a lot of children, and I'll be nice to you," and like, blah, blah, blah. It's just fucking gross.
Yeah, and then you can have like your affair with the tennis coach or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
crazy. Yeah, so really, it's about the next brother is Dallas.
Yeah.
And from the beginning of his chapter, we learned that he was like a poet, and he's all about like pain and seeing beauty in pain. And there was a moment in the beginning of the book where he said to Christian, I think because she was upset, he's like, pain looks beautiful on you or something like that. And that's what I thought. He was going to, when they hook up, they're going to get into some kinky shit, but that actually never happened.
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting for it. I'm like, I'm waiting for some weird BDSM, maybe the odd knife fight or something. I don't know. He's going to cut her open, but then that never happened. Oh yeah, and all the while, Milo is being a nuisance in this society. Again, I feel like he had a bigger part to play in the other books.
Yeah.
But he's like beating up Christian, and he has his own tussles with the Jaeger family. And so he pops up every now and then, just being a little nuisance. But yeah, and then Dallas and Christian never hook up, which is crazy.
Claire was rooting for it, but rooting for a root.
Hey, when you are almost promised,
yeah, I know
hooks up with
exactly.
all of them,
Yeah,
doesn't.
Yeah,
because Dallas allegedly or has hooked up with a guy named Callum, which is a son of a very wealthy guy from the Saint side. So I don't know if it's just because he's gay or if it's just like a bi thing, but yeah, Dallas is overleaning towards Christian, mainly because he put it like Christian is the last woman to kind of stuck around since their mum, and because Dallas is one of the youngest, he doesn't have many memories of their mother, and so he kind of is taking those memories out on her.
I think he just assumes that Christian will leave as well. Like she's just coming for the fuck.
Again, this is Dallas's issue.
Yeah.
I think there was also a memory in Dallas's chapter, or in regards to Dallas, where he was really little, and he was hearing Mason talk to their father, being like, "We can't afford another kid," and because Mason is stressed the fuck out because
and their mum was pregnant with Liv.
Yeah, at the time, and I think that's when Dallas really remembers Mason as being angry and just really stressed out the entire time. Maybe Dallas as well. Later on, there's another memory of Mason taking him to an air show, and that was one of their fondest memories of each other.
Yeah,
the first time that he sees Mason smile, but that's also just to help get Mason out of a sticky place later on. And yeah, so Dallas wanting to work for the Bay and keep the Bay.
Mm.
He comes up with like an idea to try and extort Christian, or make a porno or something,
Yeah.
and extort her for some money.
Yes,
to keep
because
the Bay.
her family is like so wealthy, and
Yeah.
like her grandfather's a judge.
Yeah, and or even they might even ask Jerome to do something or step in as well
Yeah.
for that. That was his grand plan, and Christian was willing to do it because ultimately she just doesn't care
Yeah.
about like the wealth in her family,
Yeah.
because her family situation is really fucked up. Like, what's worse than now, like a sex tape with
Exactly.
3 Jaeger brothers?
Yeah.
Also disappointed it didn't go there either.
Well, also just like,
you're just waiting for a threesome or a
or
five.
just like the brothers, just like, do you want to have a threesome with your sibling? But also like credence. So
just take a hole each.
Yeah.
You'll be right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a thing, and well, it was about to happen. Like, they were in a fancy club house, because they all work as contractors, laborers, landscaping, pool stuff.
They were at the country club.
Yeah, and
there's a secret wolf room.
Yeah, where all the men go and play.
Mm.
And yeah, they go there, and that's where Dallas wants to
Film.
perform and
Yeah.
film. But there are cameras everywhere, and so Mason saves the day, sends one of a guard or something to get Christian, and so that tension fizzles out. But I was waiting for it. I was like, damn.
I was like,
yeah,
let's go.
Knock off 3 in one go.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that's really like Dallas's story.
Yeah.
And then we start focusing more on Mason from like this point onwards, which is pretty sad, but it makes sense.
Well, he's just trying to keep it together, and he also sleeps in his parents' old room, which is where like their mother hung herself.
Yeah,
and
very
like
disturbed.
Christian like sees at one point like you can see like the notch in the wood like on the rafters or whatever.
And he's kept the rope as well that she hung herself with.
Yeah.
Crazy, so many issues, the poor guy.
Yeah. And then like at one point, he goes to like get the gun because like he's gonna kill himself.
Yeah, and there were significant signs and descriptions about his depression and how his mum couldn't handle just like one day at a time anymore, and so she just decided to end her life. And there were obviously moments where he was leading down the same path.
Yeah, he's like, I just have to make it through one more day. Like,
yeah, and again, his brothers aren't really noticing that much, but once Christian kind of, I don't know, she must have said something, or because she's lingering around Mason too much, they kind of wake up a little bit more towards the end, of course, to in a way distract him. Yeah, Christian is taking all this on. Again, another therapist for another guy. It's crazy. And she's, helping him, comforting him, and they have moments. Oh yeah, early in the book there was this, they were in the garage and like she masturbates with garden hose, and then there's like a vacuum suction thing, and Mason was there.
Oh yeah, he vacuums her clitoris.
It probably is an inkling straight away, because I feel like if they did properly fuck, like she would have recognized it.
Yeah.
So that was just to build a bit of tension.
Yeah.
A bit of misdirection as well. But yeah, anyway, moving on, and they have a lot of moments together, intimate, tension building, and eventually they do end up fucking. But then upon the first encounter, like she doesn't really recognize anything, like recognize the feelings or the emotions, but I guess she could just be distracted by the fact she's trying to not let him kill himself. But yeah, there's all that.
And then of course there's the third act breakup.
Of course. Yeah, the third act breakup. All right, this is where it gets a little silly and a little fucking goofy. Now, unfortunately, as part of Mason's backstory, is that when his parents died, he had to look out for his family, right? We all know this. He has businesses and other assets, but he needed to make money. And so how did he make money, you ask? Well, he was essentially whored out to the saints' wives and everything. So wealthy men would bring him in and pay him to sleep with their wives, etc. And he was essentially passed around a la Christian style, except more consensual and more not in the form of a payment.
Yes.
So yeah, he's really disgusted and like ashamed by that, and that's probably why he feels a bit more secluded, because he's
and also because Army was with him the first time they got propositioned.
Yeah.
And Army walked away and left. Yeah. But then Mason stayed.
Yeah, because he had to do what he had to do to survive.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a motto.
And to save the Bay.
And to save the Bay, of course. The Bay, B-A-Y or
Yeah.
B-A-E?
Yeah. This it just reminds me of, I never watched it, but like the River Brothers on Home and Away or whatever they were.
Oh,
It's
I know
like,
of
yeah.
them.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
anyway.
gang.
Yeah.
I don't think the River Brothers were as like sexually
Well, yeah, but
motivated.
like
But
this
it's a gang. It's a gang
a Heart
warfare.
New Villa. No, a Heart New Bombshells entered the villa.
Yeah. And so yeah, Mason's just really been ashamed of that. I think Army had the motto, like something about you'll find out what you're made of and if you can handle it or not, like
Oh yeah.
something like that. And obviously Mason is that guy, and because yeah, he's military, like he's disciplined, he feels like he could handle that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So for a time, Mason was propositioned out, and as part of the third breakup twist with Christian, it turns out he was paid to sleep with her mother. Fun.
And she's like, "Did you know who I was?" And so she thinks that like he's just done this all as like revenge. And he's like, "I knew who you were the moment Trace brought you home." Like,
yeah. Talk about keeping it all in the family.
Yeah.
Oh, and at this point, they kind of express that that they love each other to a degree.
Mm.
An 18-year-old and a 30-something-year-old.
Yes.
This is not right, bro.
Yes.
This is not. I'm all for like appropriate age gaps, but
Yes.
this is not. An
But I just
appropriate
think
age
it's
gap.
like, okay, well, when she's 50, he's gonna be 63, and like
Yeah.
that just feels like such a significant age gap. Like,
yeah. No. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But Penelope, this is your mind. And he's all like, I want kids and all of that, yada yada. But yeah, that was the catalyst of that third act breakup.
Also, this is the thing though. So the brothers used a condom except for Mason when he fucked her on the couch. So she's like, well, what if I'm pregnant? And then I was like,
yeah, she kind of, because Christian, as much as she's like an 18-year-old sort of like naive saint girl, she does bite back and she fights with the brothers and she puts them in their place, which is great. But again, an 18-year-old shouldn't be the one doing this.
Yes.
And so yeah, she's throwing it in Mason's face that she could be pregnant, and he's like, he almost doesn't care so long as it's a Jaeger anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's that weird, again, familial obsession that she'll end up as one of them and be one of them and never leave.
Yeah. Anyway, so they break up, and then they're going to a meeting at the Wolf Room or whatever, and then she comes in, and she's like sitting down with Jerome Watson or whatever, and then like Garrett Ames.
Yeah.
And she's like negotiating, like she'll get her own room or whatever, like blah blah. Like she's negotiating her marriage to Jerome or whatever, essentially. And Mason's like, "What the fuck?" And then essentially, you find out that she was auctioning herself to him or whatever in exchange that they leave the land alone in the bay for 5 years, and then that gives the Jaegers the amount of time to
up the value.
Yeah, up the value and everything, so that they can sell it to like government instead of
the
private developers.
Yeah, which is crazy because like you almost forget that this is sort of happening because you're more focused on entertaining the brothers and everything, and then this comes out, and it turned out her father had assets in her name, and so she realized that and started selling all the stuff off, which was part of her bargaining for auctioning her marriage and everything. Mason finds out, and then like straight away he kind of rectifies the situation. He comes up with his own sort of proposal for the people, and so he gets Christian, and it's like, I bought you, that sort of vibe. And it's really it's gross, but like it's only weirdly sexy if it's in a book like this.
I know, like in real life it's like you run for the hills, but like in this book it's like, oh, that's hot. Like, and then we do get the 3 years later thing.
Epilogue 5 years later.
No, it's 3 because they're picking iron up.
I thought it was 5 years, but alright.
Because they're like, we got to go or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, we're picking iron up today.
Oh, I didn't write.
Unless it was 2.
I don't know. But 3 or 5.
It was 3.
Alright. One of the 2.
Yeah. Anyway, and like, so the house has been like renovated. So Christian lives there, obviously, and then like her siblings live there as well.
He just bought her entire family.
And then like, so Army gets his own room. Like he doesn't have to share with his son.
And Dallas and somebody else doesn't have to share anymore. Or Dallas and Iron don't have to share. Yeah, and as part of, I guess, Mason's development, because in a way it really has just become about Mason because he's the end game character for Christian. But before even the propositioning, like he has signs of getting better, like he's motivated in life, he wants to get shit done. He hires Araceli to be an assistant manager, I guess, at the restaurant, and he is getting his shit together, and he is expanding their house to have extra rooms for everybody because life is now worth living again almost,
Yeah.
and he wants to genuinely take care of these people, not out of obligation, but
Yeah.
because. And so, yeah, he's more motivated in life again. And even with the breakup, you'd think for a guy that's been that depressed, you'd think that would have been like the final straw. It's
Yes.
like, all right, good night.
Good night.
But of course, in this type of book, it's never going to go as far as to have someone kill themselves. I don't think Penelope Douglas is that type of writer. Like, she writes gnarly shit, but I don't think she goes that far. And yeah, so in this epilogue, Christian and Mason are married. And you can easily tell that Christian has definitely become a Baysider, or she's a swamp.
Yes.
Pure swamp now. Like,
Yes.
the way she yells and carries on and like demands or commands Mason around.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
And like Mason, I think they both decided like, oh, I want to have a baby now. Like,
yeah, they're at a place where they can have a baby, because I think Christian wanted him to go to therapy.
Yeah.
And that's something he really didn't want to do, but obviously now things have changed, and like they're at a good place now where they can do that and just add another one to their household. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the end of the book. I don't think anything else.
No, so at the end of the day, like, she fucked 4 of them.
Yeah.
And like they're all okay with it because at least she's theirs.
I'm sure
It'd be a good story to
passes
tell the
that around.
grandchildren.
But no, it's just crazy that like a bizarre soap opera where everybody ends up sleeping with everybody anyway. Great. Like, I was shocked when we found out that Mason slept with her mum back in the day.
Yeah.
But out of necessity.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, wait, in the beginning of the book when we meet her mum for the first time, and she's like, you're gonna have this marriage to blah blah blah, and you're gonna do this and that because I don't want to be poor. I'm like, that is absolutely diabolical for a mother to do, but I love it.
Yeah.
It's like she knows what she wants.
Yeah.
Just pimp out your daughter for wealth.
She's like, I don't care what happens as long as we're not poor. Like,
pretty much. That gets me every time.
So that's basically it.
Yeah, I had a fun time reading.
I had a fun time. Like, it was a fun time. It was like a good brain rot
This
book.
is a
like,
good, this is a good introduction to Penelope Douglas, I would say. But again, now I feel encouraged to read Trist 7 Trist 6 Venom. Oh yeah, just another funny running joke is like, because there was a point where someone pointed out that the brothers will inevitably leave the house, and that would also add to Mason's depression, because in a way, as much as he drives them away, he loves having them around because it's his family. And so they'd make the joke of, oh, is it going to be Trist 5 now, Trist 4, Trist 3, etc., etc.
And that's the book.
That's the book. Yeah.
I guess we'll go to the stars that listen.
Yeah.
The Stars That Listen is a segment we do at the end of the podcast where we go and find a 5-star review and a 1-star review that we resonate with or want to fight with, depending on how we feel. And we always start with the 1 stars because we like to end on a positive note.
All right, just a disclaimer from me. My Goodreads, I don't know, webpage was being a bitch, and it wasn't letting me like load anything. So I managed to get 1 star, and then Kenzie.
It's alright. I have a couple, so.
But yeah, it's okay. And we didn't search very hard for these. And this is all in good jest. Like, it's not that serious. This book was truly fucking awful. Like, why is an 18-year-old a therapist to these grown men? And then the plot, the sex in the cop car. I read this book because Penelope Douglas was one of the authors that reintroduced me to reading, but man, do I regret it.
So I have, what the fuck ass was I even reading? Penelope Douglas, you're fading.
Oh, I saw that.
And then I have, what in the tragedy, spelled like DEIGH.
Just to be annoying.
Was Penelope Douglas thinking naming the main character Christian? Please tell me I wasn't the only one who couldn't stop thinking Christiana every time her god-awful name came up. Yikes. The way I felt nothing for the end game couple, Mason, ain't it, babe? I kept hoping there'd be some build-up between Dallas and Christian for some reason, a hate-to-love storyline, and that he was endgame. But nope, instead all we got was some sad boy shit with zero chemistry between a grown-ass man and a motherly teenager. I have never been more disappointed.
I agree with that, though. Like, yeah, what does a 32-year-old have in common with an 18-year-old? Jesus. All right, so my 5-star, Kenzie thankfully found for me because her Goodreads was working. I devoured this book. It's honestly one that I'll think about when I think about my fave books. I loved every single bit about it and was sweating until the end at every twist and turn. God, this was so good. Hang on. And then just in the same screenshot, Christian said, I'm going to test the ride before I make the purchase, and I'm here for it, LMAO. If Penelope Douglas writes it, I'm going to read it. You know what? The moral of the story is that if you meet an 18-year-old who has gone through all of your siblings, essentially, then she is the one for you.
I have Mother Never Disappoints.
Love it.
And I devoured this book. It's honestly one that I will think about when I think about my fave books. I loved every single bit about it, and I was sweating until the end at every twist and turn. This was so good.
Wonderful. And yeah, it just got a little bit too obsessive and possessive and misogynistic towards the end. But no, that's what we love about these bad boy characters, eh? And it's all happily ever after.
The end. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
You can find us on Instagram at letterbox_book_club. From there, our link tree is in the bio, where you'll find us in all the places. Until next time, love ya.
Alright, love ya. You're just gonna say the L word like that? Just gonna raw dog it? Alright, guys, safe back. Please.
Guys.
Please.
Please.
Alright, goodbye.
Bye.